We're going to be talking about grief today. So stay tuned. Welcome to the Christian Indie Writers Podcast, where we inform, encourage, and support Christian indie writers on their journey toward publication. I'm Jennifer Carl Tong, and I write historical Christian romance.
I'm Christina Catane, and I write Christian fiction.
And I'm Jamie Hirschberger. I write short fiction under the pen name J.R. Nichols.
Good morning, everyone who is joining us live. Catherine Carroll is here. Good morning, Catherine. Ooh, I haven't had my whole coffee yet today. Jason is also joining us. Good morning, Jason. We have Christy, which I know also means that Sadie is with us as well. Good morning to both of you. Good morning to everyone who's also listening to this as a podcast. We appreciate you as well. We just can't get over that we are now at 301 episodes. This has just been an amazing run for us. And we just appreciate everyone who's here supporting us and who listen to us as a podcast as well as YouTube. But you know what my goal is my goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you listen to us as a podcast, would you please just go over to YouTube and follow us? We have some plans. We have some things we want to accomplish with this podcast. And that's the number one thing we need to get done. So, without further ado, we're going to move ahead in our podcast. Now, we are changing the format a little bit. Normally, this is when we would do our What's Up, but you'll notice that we're going to move that to later in the show and get to the topic du jour, or de semane,
the week. Yeah, we looked
of the
up.
week. We looked it up
Jen,
because we didn't know. Yes, ma'am.
I'm really sorry, but I just went to our YouTube channel and we have 301 subscribers.
Woo! We got
on our 301 episode.
That's awesome. So that we have gotten some more subscribers this week. That's amazing. Thanks everybody for
thanks
following
everyone.
along.
301 on episode 301. I mean, we did not plan. You could not plan that.
I know. That's really great.
Sorry.
That's awesome. No, I appreciate you sharing that. That's pretty cool. So,
all right.
Yeah, so we're changing things up a little bit. We're going to get to our topic of the day faster than we used to, and then do all the friendly stuff at the end, which gives us a little bit more time, I think, to chat it up. So today's topic is one that I think is going to be kind of like on all of our minds anyway this past week. But today we're going to be talking about grief. We know that with what's been happening in our world, starting off with there's just been so many things. My daughter from college called me this week, and I could tell something was up, and she's like, I said, what's going on? And she just started crying, and she's not like normally a crier. And it just, the world is so heavy right now with the loss of Charlie Kirk and all of the aftermath surrounding that, and just other things happening in the world and tragedies happening around the world. And so I think we all are experiencing a level of grief just with what's going on in our world right now. And I
think it all started with that girl getting murdered on the subway.
Yeah.
And how shocking that was. It was just shocking that nobody helped her. Mm-hmm. Even after the guy was gone and she's dying in the train car seat. Yeah. Nobody helped her. And then on top of that, somebody gets assassinated in the middle of the day just for speaking his opinion. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of like, what is going on? And there was a school shooting that day. So it's just like crazy, topped on crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And when we add to that our own personal grief, we've briefly mentioned some of the loss that's been happening in our lives. And it's interesting because on the same day of Charlie Kirk's assassination, my friend called me and she said that in Metro Detroit, there was a garbage collector who lost his life in a terrible accident. And she just said to me, 2 families won't have someone coming home. 2 men left their home not realizing that would be the last time, right? So, I mean, it's just every day. And then the people who are left to mourn are going to be feeling human feelings. You know, the people who've gone home ahead of us, we don't have to worry about necessarily them, but how do we care for ourselves is what inspired this episode.
Right. And we want everyone to understand this isn't a safe space. We're not here to debate. We're not here to, what we're talking about today is how grief affects our hearts and our faith and ultimately our creative work. Because if you've been following this podcast at all, you know that grief has been something that I have struggled greatly with, and how it affects my creativity. Tina has struggled with some surprise medical issues this year. And I think that grief plays into that with her as well,
For
as far as,
yeah.
losing her momentum and losing time and having like her life uprooted when she was doing like probably the healthiest you'd ever been at, like, at least since I've known you. And if and then it's like, boom, taken away without nothing you could have done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So grief is very broad in the sense that we're talking about it. We're talking about many different kinds of loss, so we're really hoping that we can speak to you in your own personal grief, because we don't escape it.
Mm-hmm. We get talking in our meeting about the stages of grief. Like, we've all heard that, though I did not know like the original meaning of that. It was actually from a book talking about the grief of finding out that you're dying yourself, terminal illness. I did not realize that, which is like
I didn't either.
a whole nother stage of grief, but it has been used by other therapists and stuff to help people through the grief. But it's anyways, so we've all carried different kinds of grief recently. And I do think it affects our creativity. So as creatives, we thought it would be something we should be talking about. So, okay, so let's start off talking about how grief touches the creative life. What would you guys say to that?
It's okay. Try to go with me here. Picture this, Cicely. No, just kidding. But after my C-section with my middle child, I could not move my legs. And you kind of feel like, well, duh, you've had this medicine that makes it impossible to move your legs. But you just kind of take for granted that you can move your legs, that if you wanted to get up out of bed and start running around, you should be able to do that. But so when grief is impacting you, it's like an invisible epidural, right? Like you suddenly are not functioning the way you're used to. And if you're not careful, you will completely overlook that it is the grief that is causing that. There's no syringe laying on the table that has grief printed on the side of it to indicate why you are having these symptoms.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great analogy, Jamie.
Yeah.
I think about that with my daughter too. Like, on top of the fact that she's going through everything that we're going through, she's not with her family. She's off at college.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't have, so calling me is the best she can do. She can't sit like my other daughters have, like, Chloe has come several times and just sat next to me on the couch and put her head on my shoulder. And she can't do that. And so luckily I'm actually heading out as soon as the podcast is done. I'm heading out and I'm going to get to spend 10 days down with her and the grandbaby, my son and daughter-in-law's new baby. So I get to be down there for 10 days. So this could not have come at a better time for me personally. I need to be near her and for her. So yeah, before we started, Tina and I started talking about, I asked her how she's been feeling. And you talked about, like, the brain fog and we've talked about this in the past, exhaustion, which I know is medically part of what you've been going through too. But I know I experienced that as well when I feel like I'm still in grief. Like, the Jamie's analogy is so good because I don't see the syringe there, but I feel like I'm still getting like doses. I feel like I still have an IV in me that still feeds it to me every so often. But can you
after I had my surgery, like, like she was saying, you take for granted that your legs will work. Like, you don't realize how many things you use your core strength, your abdominal muscles for, until they're worthless.
Yeah.
And like, I couldn't even roll over in bed onto my side.
Oh my, yeah.
And getting up out of the bed was just so hard. And yeah, it's like a paralyzing of the system, and when I'm feeling like the grief or just the heaviness of what's going on, and I open up a document and try to write, it's almost like my brain won't settle.
Yes.
It's like I don't have ADHD, but I imagine that might be what ADHD feels like, where I can't get my brain to settle and focus and be clear, because it's like bouncing all over the place.
I think that is a very true statement for me as well. That is, and I think for me too, it's kind of subtle and it mixes with everything else too. I feel like, and this is as a Christian, I would love to say that like I put my hope in Jesus, which I do, but that when I'm in these situations that I lean on him harder, but sometimes because I'm the type of personality that I am, and I'm used to taking care of other people, and I'm used to like solving all the problems, that when I was the one that needed it solved, I found myself more wrestling with God, I think, than not really wrestling with whether he existed or not. And honestly, not even questioning why I had to experience what I did, but more like, just like, when is this going to end? And why can't you take this from me? And, why can't you just take this away from me? That was a question that I feel like I a lot with God still to this day on things I'm going through. And honestly feeling distant from him. And I had someone say to me once that when we feel distant from God, it's because we need to turn around and walk toward him. And I do agree with that. But when you feel that distance, it sometimes feels like the biggest chasm that you cannot get across. And here's the thing. I was never separated from God. I never walked away from him. But there's this, I felt this distance that I couldn't even like really, I couldn't put my face, and I still sometimes deal with that. And when that happens, all I can do honestly is just go back to reading the Bible, even if it feels like I'm just reading it academically. Like I just have to find his voice somewhere. And so I probably shouldn't have like gone down this rabbit hole, because I don't have an answer, because I feel like I'm still in the middle of this in a lot of ways, that I look back to the Jen of middle school, high school. I could not fall asleep without praying. I literally would lay there and I would talk with him until I fell asleep. And now I literally could go a couple days, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I've not picked up my Bible once. I've not like talked to him once. Like I like legitimately stop what I'm doing and talk with him. And that's scary to me because
before we started the podcast, I switched around my magnets on my wall behind me. And I really didn't know why I did it, but now I do.
Okay.
Because this picture right here, I drew that a while back, and it's Jesus holding a little girl that represents me. And the scripture that I have written underneath it says, "See, I have engraved you in the palm of my hand. You are continually before me." And when I'm feeling distant from the Lord, and I did this in the hospital bed when I thought I might die, like I just picture myself in his arms. And a lot of times when I'm in that place, I can't think of the words to pray, and I can't settle my mind to read the words in the Bible. And I'm just like, you know what I'm saying? Like at loose ends everywhere. But then I can just close my eyes and either fall back or lean into just being embraced. Like there's no way to be closer to somebody than to be embraced.
I really appreciate what you guys have shared. And I feel like this is very much like a sprint prompt, because the two of you have each just sort of expressed something a little bit different on the same theme. And we talk about wrestling. And I feel like my whole youth was, the reason I was separated from God is because I think this is a bunch of garbage. And if I got close to God, it would be to punch him in the face. So it was very smart of me to keep a certain distance, because I was angry and wanted to wrestle with God, but that felt disrespectful or whatever. So my version of getting close is to just really take him to task on all of this nonsense, which is getting close. Because if you want to pummel somebody, you got to get in close to do it. And the wrestling with just the existence of suffering in the world was long overdue in my life. And my own personal grief sort of gave me the permission to get to the bottom of all of this with God and recognize that he can take it. He can take all of my accusations or railings or whatever. And the two of us can get to a place of where I need to be in my relationship with him. And it was like permission to do that wrestling. It's so funny because you guys remind me of The Hiding Place of Corrie ten Boom and how her sister was always like this faithful, angelic, sweet soul. And she was just like, that's a bunch of baloney or whatever. And I'm always reminded how I have more of a Corrie ten Boom spirit, and my relationship with God is a little different than what I hear. So I really appreciate that we all deal in different ways.
Yeah, I want to share something as you're saying that too. Like, I want you to know that you're one of my safe spots too, Jamie. Because and I gotta share. I just gotta share this. So I got a message from Jamie this week, and it said this. I'm sharing it on screen. It says, "It's okay to be a person struggling." It says me. It's okay to be a person struggling with productivity during a prolonged crisis. And then it says my brain, not you though. And then it says me, not me though.
Right.
Yeah. Because that's me. And Jamie's always been the one to say to me, but Jennifer, you've been going through this, and this. She's always the one that points out to me that it's not just, I got to stop beating myself up for my inability to move forward or my inability to get some things done or to be as productive. Like, that's the other thing, is that when you're going through grief, like, you start to beat yourself up because you're not being as creative as this person. Well, this person over here lost someone, or they've done this, and look at, they're putting out book a month or whatever. And that's a temptation that you cannot like fall to that temptation, because you're not that person, and you're not, they don't have the same, they're not grieving the same way you are, or they didn't have the same experiences that you do. So, and
sometimes, and just like the three of us have different ways that we approach God.
Yeah.
Everybody has different ways that they grieve. And for some people, writing it all out is what helps them feel better. And for some people, the thought of writing anything just feels like wrong.
And I think part of it has to do with what I write too, because like, maybe if I sat down and I wrote my own version of Lamentations, maybe then I would have kept writing. Right. But like, how do I like talk about this like attractive, handsome, rancher that like is getting your heart beating when all I want to do is just crawl up in a ball and cry in the corner, right? Or
so if you were writing a tragedy, you might have been able to
maybe
go through. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So okay, so let's move on to that. Let's talk about like writing as healing. So if you're in grief and you're creative, like, can you use your writing to get yourself through the grief?
I think it's possible. I think that there's other forms of writing also that maybe not in your work in progress that can help you. When my dad died, I was crying like during the funeral and stuff, but when I got home, I was so angry. And I don't want to get into the details of why I was angry, but I was angry with this particular person to the point where I was fantasizing getting in my car and driving to another state with a shotgun and rehearsing the really, pointed words that I was going to stab them with before I shot them between the eyes. Right. Like my husband was ready to take me to the hospital that's where I was emotionally. And so I called a friend who was a family therapist, and she was an older woman, and she was kind of a mentor. And she told me to write a letter, like all that stuff that I had rehearsed that I was going to say, to write it all out in a letter and address the envelope and put a stamp on it and then stick it in my Bible and spend some time in prayer before I sent it. And I never sent it. But it dissipated the anger. Like something about writing it all down took the power away from that anger. And I was able to move past it. So like journaling and writing a scene where somebody's feeling what you're feeling and is just like has their shotgun, you know.
They get to do what you want to do.
Yeah. It can be a little bit cathartic to write that way. You can maybe process. Like I'm a verbal processor, which I realized very late in life. But some people are right. And in the modern age, you could write a text and not send it.
Be careful.
Just don't send it on accident.
Be careful. As we're
like
talking about this,
a certain Julia Sugarbaker.
Someone we might know may or may not have written a really angrily worded message and then thought she was deleting it and hit send by accident. Maybe that might have happened to one of the three of us. Anyway, don't call me Jenny. All right. As we're golly. Okay. But as we're talking about this, that makes me think about too, like I really struggled with getting forgiving Sarah, actually, as far as I have, because part of the thing was the dedication at the beginning. Like I kept writing it and rewriting it. And I think part of it was because I was writing to my mom and I was writing about my mom, and it ended up was like becoming super long. And I'm like, this is just supposed to be like little. And I finally just made it like a little one sentence, and I just walked away from it for a while. But because I think that I was trying to process too much in like a little dedication of a book. So that makes a lot of sense to me, actually. All right. What about when writing can reopen wounds?
Yeah, you've got to be careful, you know.
Which is why I kept walking away from this book.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Sometimes there's a draining of infected, I don't want to be too graphic and gross people out, because sometimes you need to reopen those wounds, but sometimes it doesn't serve you. You have to be careful that your therapy sessions don't become just a rehearsing of all of your struggles and traumas, because that will just keep you there and stuck. Which, I mean, I guess that's what's meant to be if that's what ends up happening for you. But if you don't want that, you kind of want to let time do its work. And in order to do that, you might have to give it some distance. And Jen, you felt guilty for giving it distance, but it's maybe just what the great physician ordered, right? So again, it's that invisible epidural. You might have to, it'll be a while before you can walk again, and recognizing that sometimes can be helpful so that you don't feel guilt heaped upon your grief.
Right, because really you should be writing from scars, not from open wounds, right?
Oh, yeah, I like that.
Because let's just take this example of writing the scene where you have the shotgun and you go and you like give the speech to the really bad guy and before you shoot him. If you just keep rewriting that and opening up that anger, you're feeding the anger and you're just making it worse. But if you resolve it, like in the writing, then you can resolve it in yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying resolve it by killing the guy. I'm saying resolve it by like the character saying, what is this doing for me? Like, what is being this angry and ruining my life over this piece of dung?
Right.
Yeah.
It's not worth it, and just walking away or whatever, however you resolve it.
Right. Well, maybe, all right. So what if like we don't want to write from open wounds, but we're not scarred over yet, and yet we're creatives. So what can we do then to move forward?
Well, I think the first thing is to stop expecting yourself to be the same self you were before the event that is causing you grief, because you're forever changed. And whether you want to call it growing or, being shoved into a new identity, or however you want to look at it, your reality is that you're a different person now. So it may look different. And until you can find your way back to writing, if indeed you do, you could maybe find a different outlet for your creative side, or to kind of nurture and wean along that creative side and keep it alive. You could try maybe sculpting, or something like putting on some music and just dancing, maybe praise and worship music and just getting lost in the music, or creating music, or just some other way to nurture and take care of that creative side, even if it's not in the form of writing.
I love the words nurture and take care of in this. Honestly, I think that that's one of the things that I have lacked in doing, is taking care of myself and nurturing. And I shared several weeks ago that I had written down a list of things that I wanted to be true in my life. And I think that this has been like a pivot for me to really, like, if these are what I want to be true in my life, then what do I have to do? And one of those things is like taking care of myself. And that's why when I look at my list again, I realize I'm really just making a list of ways of taking care of myself that I have not been doing, because I've been so focused on taking care of everybody else. And one of those was exercise. And I have been committing to like weightlifting 3 days a week. Like real low key, because I'm super out of shape, but it's making a difference in my mindset, and it's helping me to kind of come, because I'm taking, I think I could have chosen a myriad of things to do to take care of myself that would have a similar outcome. But I do think exercise is super important, especially as writers, when we spend so much time just sitting in our chair, clickety clacketing, right? So I think that what Jamie said about doing something else creative is great. I think that doing and getting outside, walking is good.
Right. And sometimes you just need to put on your bunny slippers and make yourself a cup of tea and get a cozy blanket.
Yeah.
And curl up on, or, just play a video game. My therapist actually prescribed a video game for me to play. And it was a Disney video game where you're like a character, and like all of the Disney characters have forgotten who they are. And you have to go through and you have to find them all and bring them back and like get their memories back and build their houses again. And so then you end up with this village, and like slowly over time, like I have the characters from Encanto, and I have the characters from Ratatouille, and I have Mickey and Donald Duck and Goofy, and the characters from The Lion King, and I have Rapunzel, it's called Tangled. That's the name of the movie. So like I've like gone and found all these characters and like set them up in this village, and it's really like there's no battles. There's no like, stressful stuff. You're just like finding clues and like going and doing things, right? And it's just so something relaxing and fun. Be like every time you walk by the girl from Encanto's house, the house does the little thing where the shutters play notes. Like just walking by it. Like it's just something about it that's very calming to my brain. And so like self-care could be doing that.
Yeah. And maybe pick up a nice clean romance to read, or, because reading can do the same thing for you, right, Tina? Like just escape a little bit from the harsh reality of what is really going on. Don't read anything I've written. No, just kidding. But you might want to read some sheer chasing material, right?
Yeah.
Stay away from Dostoevsky.
Yeah. All right. So
I don't know. Some people get comfort from watching serial killer
yeah, I mean, whatever
documentaries,
works.
but
yeah. Okay, so to move into our next section, quickly want to talk about if you are going to share grief in your writing. There are some things that we suggest you should think about. First of all, deciding what is private versus what's public. I know I've shared a lot on here about things, but there's a lot I haven't shared. Things that the ladies know that have been especially if it has to do with your children. Or it has to do with like personal things that you're in the middle of going through. Just decide, like, you get to understand, like, not even if you're going to share your grief, you don't need to share all of it. Right. And
yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead, Jamie.
Oh, sorry. And be careful who your audience is. So if you're going to share in writing, it might be for your eyes only. I was thinking more of like the verbal processing that I was talking about. Like you have to have those people who, I think of casting pearls before swine. And I know that that's about scripture or whatever, but your feelings and your grief is not a public commodity. And not everybody will be able to give you what you need from that. And the last thing you need is to share with someone who's going to be insensitive to your situation.
Right.
One of my children just brought this up to me. They were having an issue with somebody that they work with, where they had shared thoughts and feelings with that person, and they went and shared it with someone else and twisted what they said. And I said, well, they've just proven to you they're not your friend, number one. And number two, they can't be trusted with your thoughts and feelings.
Right.
It's not a safe place to share your thoughts and feelings. So keep them to yourself when you're around that person from now on.
Right. And make sure that if you're writing about real people, if you're going to ever publish it, you got to be a good steward of your story if you plan on publishing it. If you're doing like what Jamie said and just putting it on paper, or what Tina shared, then that's fine. Just make sure that you don't accidentally hit send. Right. But if you're writing about other people, make sure you do it sensitively, because let's be honest, like, we are not walking in their shoes. Like I think that, like, I am always the hero of every story of my life. Everything I tell, every event that ever experienced for me, I'm the hero. But, sometimes I guarantee you I was the bad guy because I was from someone else's perspective. So
from someone else's perspective. I mean, I just ran into a scenario in my life where I heard one side of a story and then I heard the other side of the story, and the two narratives could not have been different as far as like who is the bad guy or who was the instigator or whatever. And you may 100% think you have a monopoly on the truth, but someone else's perspective is they are not you. They bring a whole bunch of other experiences to the table.
Which is 100% what Charlie Kirk fought for, was to have conversations between people that do not agree. Right. I saw a video this week, and I don't remember who shared it, but it was on Instagram. It was a story, I think, that the algorithm is separating our country, because I get fed things that the algorithm has already figured out that I like, or that matches my political views or my religious views, or just the things that I enjoy. Right. Joe Schmo over here, who has different ideals than I do, or maybe clicked on some things that he thought, he's getting fed different things. He's getting things that are fed to him that are from a different perspective and are showing different, we'll say, facts or whatever. But then we meet up face to face and we think we both are looking at the same stuff, and we can't believe that the other person doesn't see the same way that we see. Right. So the algorithms of social media are destroying our relationships. And so to wrap up our conversation on grief, I think that as we move forward as a country and as people and grieving what is happening in our world, remember that when you come face to face with a real person, that you're like, I cannot believe that you feel X, Y, and Z, that you're not grieving the same way as I am. You need to understand that there is evil at play in this world, and a lot of it has to do with the algorithm of social media. I truly believe that. So,
and we should always come together with people that disagree with us with grace.
Amen.
Because we have to pass on the same grace that we received.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Jason says, I've run into that with my book. Didn't realize how hard it would be. And it felt like the scab was ripped off and the wound happened yesterday.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've
Sorry about
experienced
that.
that as well. So, all right. So got a lot of people in our chat. Hopefully we'll get some comments from everybody there, letting us know what's going on with you guys this week. I know it's a heavy week, but we got to imagine there's been some good things happening for you as writers or as creatives or just as moms and kids. And so share with us in the chat what's going on with you. I'm going to go to, let's go to Jamie first. Jamie, what's up with you today?
Oh, no, I don't know why I feel so unprepared for this.
You look really cute with your matching headphones and your shirt, by the way.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I love these little headphone covers. They were not a very expensive purchase, and they make me very super happy. I guess there is the opportunity to connect with the Lake Writers tonight. I'm considering taking advantage of that because it seems like Friday is going to just be my think about my writing career day because this podcast happens. So I write for the podcast, and then there is an opportunity to do a Friday writing group. So for me, I think Friday might be writing focused day. Like once I clock out from my day job, what do I do with those hours before bed? I think Friday will be Friday writing day, which is great because it feels like it's organically turned into this and doesn't feel forced. And it's also great because I feel like I want to make progress, but I haven't made it a priority. So it's like organically becoming what I do on Friday. So I guess that's my what's up.
And
How about you, Jen? Yeah.
And I love that in our shenanigans, for those of you that are not Patreon supporter, but if you are our Patreon supporter, you become part of our shenanigans group text. And Jamie shares her fit with she shows what she's going to wear when she goes out to the writing things. It's so much fun. We all get to comment on.
It's cold at the venue, so I get to wear long sleeves and boots and fun stuff like that because I know it'll be cold in there. So I like to share.
Yeah.
What's up with you, Jen?
SL Parent says Friday writing day. Go Jamie. Yeah, I want a Friday writing day. Well, so I already kind of shared mine. I am, as soon as we're done here and I'm done with the business of the podcast, the things that we have to do after we hit, end. I am loading up the car, and my two younger daughters and I, high schoolers, my baby is in high school this year. Oh, anyway, we're heading, driving the 5 hours to where my oldest born daughter. I have three that I inherited, 3 inherited children, but I'm going to where she goes to school, and that's also where my stepson and his wife work and where the baby is. And so that's what's up with me, but I'm taking my laptop and all my stuff. I will still be podcasting next Friday with you ladies. I will be hopefully getting some writing done, but I do think that my son and daughter-in-law are planning on a lot of help, which is fine because the baby is June, July, August, 3 months old. I had to do the counting. She's 3 months old now. And I remember those days. That's when you're about ready to lose it, right? You're just exhausted. And so hopefully I'll be able to be a lot of help to them, but I'm hoping to get some relaxation too. And so that's what I'm doing.
That reminds me of that comedian, Leanne something.
Leanne? She's got a TV show on Netflix now. It's just okay. Yeah. But yeah. She
says, when my son and daughter-in-law had a baby, they started talking about boundaries. And she goes, give it a couple of months when you haven't slept and you can't think straight, and we'll talk about boundaries. That's just great.
I know it's different because it's a son and not a daughter, and it'll be different with my girls. But when I had my baby, my mom moved in for the first 2 weeks. And I was happy to have her those first 2 weeks with all 3 of my girls. So, and that worked out great because she was, it's just nice having your mom who's been through it to be there and be
right.
Just encourage you that you're doing a good job. That's the one thing I really needed. So,
yeah.
All right, Tina, what's up with you?
Well, I made a very, very expensive mistake
Oh, let's
this
hear it.
week.
Oh, I know what this is.
Normally I keep my laptop on like a little podium almost on my desk.
Me too.
And I just got annoyed with it being up on the podium.
And you have so people understand, you have a separate keyboard, right? Like
yes, I do.
Yeah, same. Yep.
Where did I put it? It's right here.
Okay.
Yes, my keyboard. Yep. So I got annoyed with the podium for whatever reason, and I took my laptop off the podium and set it on my desk, and then promptly spilled an entire cup of coffee on it.
No,
it's not funny, but I'm so sorry.
Why didn't this come up while we were talking about grief? Because that is a very specific type of grief.
It really is.
I know.
Did things back into the cloud, or did you lose stuff?
I lost things.
Oh
no.
I like Scrivener. But you know what? I hadn't been writing in Scrivener. Okay. I had only been using Scrivener to organize what I'd already written.
Yeah,
you don't back Scrivener up automatically to the cloud?
No, because I can't stand the drive. What is it? OneDrive or Dropbox or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't stand it.
Oh.
I can't stand that program. It drives me crazy. So I write in Google Docs, and now you can put tabs in Google Docs.
Yeah.
So I basically have my entire manuscript in Google Docs in tabs.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, and then, or to like, if I want to look at the scene cards, I like the scene cards where you can have an index card on a cork board and you can look at the scene cards and you're like, oh, you know what? He probably shouldn't do this before this happens. So I'm going to move these. I'm going to switch these two around. Like, I like it for that reason. So I still use it for that reason. So nothing's, and luckily, if you have Microsoft 365 and you have PowerPoints that you've been making because you teach a Bible study, and you re-download Microsoft 365 and re-download PowerPoint, you open it up, guess what? Your PowerPoint's still there.
That's awesome.
Which was really handy because I teach a Bible study on Wednesday nights and I got my new laptop Wednesday morning.
So
the moral of the story is I had to re-download Scrivener. I had to re-download Google Chrome. I had to re-download Microsoft 365. I have to move all those files from Google Docs back into Scrivener. If I don't know, I haven't decided fully if I'm going to do that. It just knocked me out of the game.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? And like you have to re-sign in all that stuff. Like all of the programs that you're used to just pulling up.
Yeah.
Like for instance, StreamYard or like I have a browser just for the podcast. That's totally dedicated to Christian indie writers.
Yeah, me too. It makes
and
life so
I have
easier.
I had all this stuff bookmarked and I had to sign back into all of that.
Well, I'm glad that it was easily fixed, though. I know it's a headache, but we're glad that you're able to be with us this week. And Jason says his what's up, getting ready to go to a Christian board game retreat up north. What?
Ooh, that's fun.
I had no idea that would even exist. Having the whole weekend off as a result, debating on bringing some writing stuff to do early in the morning. That's awesome, Jason. That's very
Report
exciting.
how it is in case Michiganders or Floridians would like to partake next year. We'd like to know what this is all about.
Yep. SL Parent says, happy road trip, Jen. I hope your new laptop does everything you need and want, Tina. It's stressful when your tech takes a dive. That is so very
stressful. It's the worst. It's one of the worst feelings.
It is. Okay, but one of the best feelings is us sharing our feeding of the backs time. So Jamie, yay! I know we're running a little bit short on time because we babbled a lot today with our new format. But I'm going to have you go ahead and share what the prompt was and then share with us what you wrote, please, ladies.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we've got a theme this week. It's the theme of grief, keeping in line with our topic. So here's what I wrote. We are both so very, very sorry. Her plump little hand squeezed mine. Thank you. Excuse me, ma'am. The funeral home associate at my elbow was named Carrie. He was probably only a handful of years older than my daughter. The anxious way he addressed me from our very first encounter communicated the uncertainty of a fresh grad at his new job. I wondered at his temerity, interrupting me as I was greeting mourners, but only for a moment. After all, what else had I been doing for the past 45 minutes? And the line of new arrivals only kept growing. If Carrie had something to tell me, he was going to have to jump in at some point. We've received another party tray. Oh gosh, I said. We had a little sitting room reserved for our visitors, but when I'd last checked, every conceivable surface was covered with such gifts, and the area of refrigeration reserved for our family was also overfull. Can you see if another family can make use of it, please? Or perhaps your staff would appreciate some of the food. Really, anything in our family's area is fair game for any of you, I added. Okay, I'll see what I can do. Carrie disappeared, and my daughter, who'd been watching the interaction from across the room, came over just as I was saying hello to our neighbors from one street over. Excuse me, my daughter told them, pulling me away by the elbow. What's up, Mom? I shrugged. Oh, nothing. We've just been blessed with more goodies than we can fit. Why didn't you say something? I can have Erica and Bet take some of the stuff back to our place. I didn't even think of that. Her expression softened. It's okay, Mom. Only you're going to have to get used to asking for help. I pressed my lips together and nodded, looking away to aid in the effort to suppress tears. She was right. I'd had 26 years of my needs being anticipated and met. I thought it was just grief making things so hard to manage, but I realized in that moment it was actually trained helplessness. I had to run from the room. I tucked myself into the little single-person bathroom immediately off the hallway. I sobbed. Darn you, Jerry, I thought. Darn you for being so good to me. Darn you for pampering me and making me weak. Darn you for dying. I loathed myself for feeling this way. I was miserable that I couldn't find a single happy memory to hang on to that was supposed to make this suffering seem worth it. All I could think about was how I'd have to pull myself together and go back into that room full of people.
Oh, so good, Jamie. So I love, like, you're really inside this person and she feels very real to me, but I love that she's experiencing anger, because a lot of people do. Like, it's definitely, yeah, this felt very real, Jamie. Well done.
I appreciate
it felt
that.
really real to me because my husband is one of those guys that, I'll never forget one time I was mumbling to myself about how I couldn't find my pink socks. And then I remembered that they were under my desk, but I didn't mumble that out loud. And then I came and my husband was tearing our bedroom apart. And I said, what are you doing? And he said, I'm looking for your pink socks.
Oh, that's so
like
good.
I had never even asked him. Like I was just mumbling to myself. Like that's just who he is. And so he just takes care of me.
Yeah.
So I really connected to this person that you wrote.
SL Parent says, love the characterization as always, Jamie. Yeah, you are a master at that. Well done.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. All right, I'll go next. Mine is different. Okay. The funny thing about grief is that you get no opportunity to practice it before you have to be good at it. That might sound cynical, but people give you about 24 hours, maybe less, to process the shock of losing someone or something. And then they expect you to be ready to behave in a way that fits society. The widow who has just lost her husband is expected to pick out his casket within 24 hours, to choose what outfit his earthly body will wear for the rest of eternity shortly after that. Then in about 48 to 60 hours, stand before said casket and bear the weight of everyone else's grief as she repeatedly answers the same questions.
Yeah.
What happened? He was such a good man. But he was so healthy. He meant the world to me. Didn't you see any signs? What are you and the kids going to do now? He was my best friend. Now imagine this all playing out on a worldwide stage. Why wasn't there more security? Your husband was a true patriot. Do you think he felt anything? Let me tell you how your husband changed my life. Did you read the text messages? He was the most humble, loving person I've ever met. Have you heard the conspiracy theories? As Americans and others across the world watch this tragedy and the ensuing aftermath unfold, I can't stop thinking about Erica. Not the Erica who spoke eloquently to the nation from her husband's studio. Not the Erica who stood next to her husband's casket while cameras flashed around her. The Erica none of us see. The one screaming on the inside, calling out to Jesus, asking why. Why did this have to happen? Why does she have to bear this burden? The burden of millions of people's grief on her shoulders, because I promise you that is what she is doing. 3, 2, 1. That's what I had.
That's really good.
I think that we all like wonder why we are so strong, people will tell you God won't give you more than you can bear. It's like, well, then I wish I was a little bit more of a weakling because, so she's got some very strong shoulders there.
And unfortunately, that's a misinterpretation of that verse.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying that's what people will tell you.
Yeah.
And then you just wish that if that's, you just wish you were weaker then. And you wonder what things in her life prepared her for this. What has she endured?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I love your opening line though, because you're not given a practice run.
Mm-hmm.
That's very impactful, Jen.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, Tina.
Do I have to follow that?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Well, I got to make this bigger so I can see it. The sun shone through the tree branches, dappling the grass in patches of brighter green. A soft breeze touched my skin, cooling it, and the smell of lilac blossoms perfumed the air. It was peaceful here under the apple tree. The apples still just green orbs dangling from the branches. In the autumn, they would fall, and the perfume in the air would be that smell of sweet rot and decaying leaves. It made me think of the circle of life. I smiled slightly that I couldn't think of that phrase without hearing it sung in my head, and a picture of a baby lying being lifted into the sky by a baboon.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much beauty in life, the freshness of spring, the innocence of a newborn baby, the splendor of midsummer with the flowers in full bloom, a new adult finding their purpose in the world and forging forward to fulfill it, the incredible flavors of the harvest on the tongue, a reward for the labors of spring and summer, the joy of a grandchild running to you with arms stretched wide, the cool of autumn when leaves begin to fall, the older years when you rest secure in who you are and the angst of youth has been spent, and finally the snow-covered slumber of winter when all seems dead but new life waits beneath it for its moment to burst into the world. I think then about what it will be like to be gone from this earth, to be absent from this body that seems to be dropping leaves at an ever-increasing rate these days, to be present with the Lord when the cares of this fallen world will all have fallen away and withered, when eternity will burst forth full of love and beauty and joy, when hope will be rewarded, when I will rest in the arms of He who has loved me since the foundation of the world. The mourners have all left, and so have the cemetery workers. A fresh new plot of rich, dark earth stays behind, indifferent to having been left alone while the world moves on. Still, I sit beneath the apple tree, not wanting to leave this place of peaceful contemplation of the hope that is the anchor for my soul. The question of where to go from here can wait a few more moments, long enough for the Lord to strengthen that part of me that feels like it also has died. Then I will get up and go home to the empty house full of memories and move forward somehow. But for now, I close my eyes and imagine the arms of my Savior around me, and I can feel them as if they were actual flesh and blood. I sigh, a sigh of grief, a sigh of contentment, a sigh of hope, and most of all, a sigh of resolve. Then I rise and walk back toward the tombstone for a final goodbye.
So good, Tina. I love how poetic it is, how like you just brought in nature to like this person who is mourning, but yet all of nature around them, and that's what she's focusing on. And I just thought that was beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah, the parallels of the seasons of the world and the passage of time, and the parallels of it to the human body were great, especially the falling leaves and the, aging bodies. Very, very good. Very poetic, as Jen said.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, ladies. It's time for us to wrap up. Thanks to everyone who's joined us. What's next for you guys? Let's do that really quick. Jamie, what's next for you?
I'm going to log off and get back to work. I'll catch you guys later.
All right, bye, Jamie. What about you, Tina? What's next?
I got to get my head back in the game, and that starts with getting this mess of my office cleaned up so that I feel more creative in this space.
All right.
So that's my goal for this week.
Well, I have a bunch of driving to do and hopefully get some video editing done this weekend for some new things on the channel. So we appreciate all of you being here. Thanks so much. And until next time, may your pen be prolific and your deadlines be met. May all of your words honor Christ. Bye now.
Bye-bye.